Alrighty. Hello everybody. This is Kirusho here, and now, before we do start, let's give a brief little review. In the last part, a number of events have happened. We had Deku, and we also had the group. Now, after Deku and Bakugo went back home, they found a few things. Deku, he doesn't want to talk or think about what he saw in there. He just remembers walking to the apartment and trying to find his mom. He found her, and then he just walks out with a picture in hand and a knife, covered in blood. He just couldn't get his head on straight. But after he heard something, he tried to rejoin the group, realizing that people are coming their way. However, instead of these being friendly, they were people trying to rob them. However, they had one thing quite clear: keep the car and their weapons. They just want their supplies. It's nothing personal. And that is where Deku tried to talk them down. And Bakugo, after he saw what he saw inside his apartment, he wanted to go try and rejoin the group. However, after seeing that they were being robbed, he took two shots. He took two of the men down. And Deku, he used his firearm and shot a man in the gut, trying to make things quite clear. They just don't want any trouble. However, with a firefight that ensued, Jiro also had to put somebody down. And the group, they were in trouble. They need to get out of here. And Deku, he took what he could from the man. Everybody took a corpse and looted it. And Deku found a fancy knife, a set of keys, and a revolver. And that was nice. He also found a radio. And after giving Jiro one of the firearms, which he used in the firefight, they all got out of there. It definitely has been quite an interesting day. Deku made the executive choice to take them back to the Todoroki household, and while Bakugo was annoyed, Deku made things quite clear. He's not in charge of the group, and this was a decision he's making that Bakugo has to live with. Since, clearly, everything's gone to shit. Now, with that being said, it has been almost a month since the apocalypse has broken out, and everybody, they have begun to somewhat adjust to life in the Todoroki household. Todoroki could not find anybody. He's tried calling, texting, and seeing if he can even just get anything out there. But so far, nothing. I mean, towers are down. The internet is gone. And it's concerning to a lot of people. No more phone calls. No more texting and, well, yeah, it's pretty bad. And that is currently where we do have Deku. Deku does just sit there. Him with a lot going through his mind as he's sitting on the deck looking out towards the night sky. With a lot going through his head. They're safe. But I mean, the house can only protect them for so long. They've got a gate around them, yes, but this place is still in danger. In the city, he doesn't know. The food they have here is good. Not only have they actually had some meals, but they've been trying to think. Momo's house is still a good option, but trying to go to a military shelter, it isn't a good idea. And currently Deku, he does go somewhat mess around with his gun. Him going to open the cylinder of the six-shooter and count the bullets. Him going to press it back into the gun. And then going to press the button again to eject the cylinder. Now, Deku, he does continue to do that. Him counting the bullets and just staring down. And it's concerning. He doesn't know how to break the news to everybody. How to tell them the infection, it's probably in all of them. All of them are infected. All of them are infected. It makes sense now. Oh, whatever's going on with the quirk malfunctions, whatever's going on, just out there outside the walls of this house. It's affected every single person in Japan, maybe across the planet. I mean, how else to explain this? How Kirishima turned without being bitten and how he suffered from the same thing they all did. I mean, it's just a lot. Now, they were currently walking the halls. Since they weren't really easy. They couldn't get back to bed. They had a nightmare. And it was not good. And currently Ochako is walking around. Right now her going to actually turn her head after rounding a corner and seeing Deku sitting there with a gun next to him. Him going to hear a sound as Deku's turn. Him bring his hand down and going to grab for the gun. Ochako going to actually stare at him and bring up her hands. And Deku, he does go from a bit tense to relaxing his shoulders. And going to look back down. Her going to walk over. Hey. Hi. You okay? Yeah. I I couldn't sleep. Yeah, I couldn't either. I keep having this nightmare. Yeah, I don't know. My dad just my dad's always there. Lucky you. No, no, that's sorry. No, that's not what I meant. My dad works overseas. Oh, yeah. I honestly don't know where he is right now. I thought he called home, but nothing. If we're lucky, it isn't in Japan, but I don't really see that happening. What do you mean? I don't know what this really is, Ochako. I'm gonna turn. Her gonna actually sit down next to Deku, as she's gonna turn her body towards him. One of her legs dangling, as she just have one of them folded up crisscross, or to the side. Now, Deku does gotta tell her. He doesn't know how to tell everybody about it. It's a little heavy. Hmm? What is it? It's... Is it Kirishima? Yeah, it's gotta do with him. Jiro said that he will... You know... Her bring her finger up to her head. And Deku, he doesn't see the way she just hold it. Almost like a gun. But Deku, he doesn't turn away. Having that image stuck in his head. It's so bad. The the way his hands went limp to the side, the way his head was back, and the hole in his face. That ran through Deku's mind. Ochako would actually bring her hand down and grab Deku by his hand. Deku's not going to turn and flinch a bit. Sorry. No, it's okay, but we all understand. I'm sure everyone knows by this point. You guys didn't say what you saw up there. Bakugo had the rifle and Kirishima was not with us. I think we all sort of know. Right. I just... It's not about him taking his life, Ochako. It's about what I saw when he took his life. Don't describe it. No, Ochako, that's not what I... Listen, me and Bakugo saw quite a bit of things, but honestly, I think this takes the cake. What happened? It's not about Kirishima taking his life. his arm. He wasn't infected, but he wasn't bitten, but he was infected. Now, Ochako's heart is at a drop. Her staring right at Deku. A lot more surprised, pulling her hand away. Are you sure? Yeah. I don't know if Bakugo saw it, but I did. I didn't know what to say, and when we left, I just freaked out. I don't know. Repeated quirk use activates the infection in our bodies. It at least links back to that theory that the activation causes us to turn. I'm worried. Now, Ochako, she does go to look down at one of her hands. It's definitely worrisome. She's been trying to avoid using her quirk, and she's been doing good so far. But I mean, she can only do so much. Her gonna look down at her right hand, and thinking about what to do. She can make a glove, right? Or just find a pair of mittens and cut one of the fingers out. Maybe just be careful and, yeah, do that. Just find something that she can use. Maybe drawing gloves? Those have a design she needs, right? Or, well, yeah, no, there is that. We're gonna turn and ask Izuku if he can help her with something. Hmm? What is it? You're supposed to be on watch, right? Yeah? So, do you want to try and steal something from Endeavor's room with me? What do you mean? Well, I'm just saying, I need something for my hands. My quirk requires all five of my fingers to touch something to activate my quirk. I'm just asking if you want to help me. I can, yeah. Gloves, right? Well, fingerless on some of them, yeah. That does make sense. I think Todoroki's in his room, so we can definitely go there. Now, the two do to stand up. Deku putting the gun in his pocket and going to turn. His shirt a little bit baggy and his sweatpants tightened up to fit. Him and Ochako gonna walk down the hallway. And currently the two, they do continue to try and talk. I mean, it's weird. But Ochako, he tries to ask a bit more, understanding this theory of Izuku's. And it does make sense. But Deku does try to quickly change the subject. He doesn't like to talk about this. He already needs to tell everybody else, and it's been worrisome to him how they all might react. Ochako reacted poorly to it, but she's not freaking out that much. And that crosses Deku's mind. Him and her getting to Endeavor's room and beginning to look through a few things. And Deku, he does try to find anything that they can use. And it's definitely weird. Now, Endeavor, he does have some hero suits here, along with some other clothes for other things. Relaxation clothes, summer clothes, winter clothes, and even something for hero operations. Now, whenever Deku does get to find something that might actually work, he does get a hold of a shirt. It's being an undershirt made of some sort of leather. And Ochako, she does stare at the material, finding it to be tough and, well, weird. It's something, well, she could destroy it, but that's not really an option. Maybe talk to everyone tomorrow and see what she can do. Without no Choco's mind. And currently, everybody, they do continue about the day. Deku, he goes back to Night Watch. And Ochako does leave him alone. though Deku doesn't want her to go. It was nice not being alone with his thoughts. And Ochako? Yeah. She does do one thing. She does go to get a pair of socks and cut holes in them. Her sticking some of her fingers through so her quirk does not activate. And it has been the method she's been using for a few days. I mean, it works. And that's the only real thing that she can focus on. And there actually is the next morning. Everybody, they get up, and Deku, he decided to take a bit of a nap. And while that's all happening, people are talking. Ochako, though, is concerned, not telling everybody the information she learned. It's a liability, maybe. Keeping them in the dark is a good idea. And she does want to talk to Todoroki about a few things. And whenever it does come up, Todoroki, he's kind of alarmed. Since she's asking to destroy something that belonged to his dad so she can have gloves to stop her quirk. I mean, yeah, sure. But just be careful with it. Now, Momo does find this to be a little bit exciting. And when she does hear about this little project to create something, she turns her attention to that, talking about how she can help Ochako make the gloves. And that, it is a bit intriguing. Right now, Bakugo going to sit there, drinking his coffee, and thinking about a lot. As Kendo, she does sit there as well. I mean, seeing them be in better spirits is good. They all need to focus on a few things. And be careful. And currently, Deku, whenever he does it to get up later that day, he does try to join the group. People have already started to do a few more things. Talk about what to do, and begin speculation. Some people want to head to that military place. I mean, over the radios, they play comms. And things certainly have been interesting. And there actually is Deku. Deku, he does try to think. Currently, him getting up and getting something to drink. As everyone, they are bickering back and forth, heading to the safe house or getting out of the city. Or, well, figure it out. Go their own separate ways, divide the group. But how would that work? I mean, they have 4 guns, 5 including the rifle, and a few knives, and 2 radios. So, what do? Just divide and go their separate ways? Hey, we have these guns, so we take 3, you guys take 2. Take the car, goodbye. Yeah. It's hard to come to a solution. And Deku, he does try to tell everybody. He needs all of them to listen to him. Everyone gonna turn. As Deku, he decides to drop the bombshell. Last week, whenever Kirishima was still alive, he saw something quite bad. And Bakugo stares at Deku alarmed. Him trying to tell him not to tell them that. Don't. And Deku does bring his hand up. Explain that Kirishima had the infection on his arm. However, he didn't see a bite wound. He was infected. He's pretty sure all of them are. And everyone, they do get a look around the room. And Todoroki, he does try to ask if Izuku is absolutely sure. And Deku, he just does get a nod. Todoroki, alarmed, because that means his sister, if she used her quirk to try and protect herself, she could have been turned. And everyone, they think about it for a minute. I mean, they thought that if the quirk malfunctions passed, they'd have an advantage. The zombies, they just, oh shit. Everyone gonna think. And Tamaki, he does sit there, trying to just think about it. I mean, his abilities are. He's okay, but he hasn't tried to use his quirk yet. Is that why? And Nedre, she does get to sit there. Her trying to ask Izuku exactly if there's any more proof of that. And Deku, he just does it to tell her. That's all he's got. People who use their quirks turned. People who are bitten need to know. The bites don't cause the infection. They're already carrying it. It doesn't matter. As far as he knows, the infection doesn't activate within them unless it's the ability they use. It's the only thing he's got that makes sense. And Deku sounds a bit crazy, a little unhinged. But Bakugo, he does believe it. He thought it was just a trick of his eyes. He wanted to believe that. He told himself that. But he should have known it was real. And this is a bit of a cause for concern. And everyone, they do a few things. Ochako does sit there, her with her gloves on, and staring up at everyone, as all of them are trying to get a few things in order. And Momo does talk about it. If this is all true, then they need to head back to her home. It's outside the city, and it is the best place to stay. Plenty of land and plenty of room. People should be fine. It's a plan. And this is where Bakugo, he does speak up. Yeah, sure, it's a plan. They all head there, then what? Stay there for the winter? They need to think ahead. After summer's over, things are gonna get cold. They need to plan ahead. And Todoroki does get to chime in, expressing about how he's not too sure. The household is a good idea. I mean, he's assuming that they got plenty of fancy things in that mansion, probably a lot of wood. If they need to, they can break that stuff down and use it for the winter. And Momo, she's a bit horrified at the thought of burning a table probably worth more than a car. And that, it does cross her mind. It just, right, it doesn't matter anymore. It's popping through her head. And Deku, he does try to talk about it. Okay, how about this? They try to figure this out. Put it up to a vote. Okay. Everybody raise your hand if you're okay with heading out of the city. Getting out of here until things blow over. I mean, the military should show up. And when they do, they'll all be okay. Besides, things are still crazy. And everyone, they do stare at Deku, who's voting in favor of leaving the city and going to Momo's house. And that is where everyone, they do get to look around. Nedre having that thought. She told everybody back at UA about what to do. They all can meet up at the location once a month. They need to go there. I mean, it's been about a month. She can leave a note and tell them what's going on. They can join them. Get to safety. Right. Okay. She can do that. Her raising her hand and trying to explain the situation. Tamaki raising his hand as well, as Bakugo hears to watch Momo, Jiro, and Denki raise their hands, along with Ochako and Kendo. And that it does put them all at a disadvantage. Right now, Hatsume going to walk into the room and going to ask them about what's going on. And Deku, he does this one turn, her pushing right up next to him and past him, asking everybody if they're all voting on something without her. And Deku does try to talk about it. They're gonna leave this building. Really? Why? There's a safer spot outside the city. Though, we might have to deal with a bit more infected. Oh, is that it? Yeah, that's it. Okay, good. Listen, I've been trying to come up with a few things, guys, and I believe I may have hit something. Hit something? Yeah. Hatsume going to hold something up. It being a box of scrap talking about it. Okay, so the tin cans that they can use to repurpose. The tin cans over here, they can clean and actually use to boil water if they need to. And then there's a few other things. She's still trying to figure it out, but I mean, a basic spear, it should be fine. We're gonna walk over and out of the room. Everyone turning to the box as Deku does the walkover. Seeing some of the. Are those arrowheads? We're gonna walk over and back over, slamming down the bottom of the stick, talking about it. Right, so she's been messing around with a few things in the garage for a couple days, but she managed to make a few of these. Her holding them out and up, talking about how they're made of scrap metal she sort of just pushed together really, really hard and put into a split in the wood. She also wrapped them up a bit and, well, used some hot glue she found. And everyone, they turn to look at May and her makeshift spear. And Deku does a turn, her holding it out and almost bonking him in the head. And Deku, he has to grab it and stare at it. Definitely. Right, this is good. How many of these did you make? A few. But, I can make more. Though, if we're gonna be leaving, let me pack up a few things in the garage. I could use a hand, guys. Deku gonna turn, looking at everybody. And they all just sit there staring at him. And Deku, he feels a bit more put on the spot. Bakugo can open his mouth and tell them that they are. They still gotta figure this all out. It's not that simple. And this is where someone does a turn. Denki jumping up telling him, he was outvoted. Can't he just live with that? Bakugo turning his head towards Denki. Him a lot more annoyed and looking pissed. Going to express. He couldn't find his dad at home, alright? He thinks he's at the shelter and he wants to check it out. That's it. He's gonna just go. Right? Listen. Just give him a minute. And that it does somewhat worry them. Bakugo wants to split off. And Deku, he's not too sure. Right now him going to turn and look at May, as he's going to tell a few people to get up and help them, or help Hatsume pack up, and to pack up some clothes or just any of the food that they can find that they can actually use. And everyone, they do begin to start moving. Deku, surprised that they're actually seeing him as an authority figure. It's sort of different. Now, Deku, he does a turn. Right now, Momo gonna actually mouth the words thank you as they do to leave. And Deku does a turn, walking over to Bakugo. Him holding out the spear and telling Bakugo. Him gonna grab it from Deku that they're gonna need that rifle back. No way. Bakugo, listen. Deku bringing out the 6-shooter. Him holding it out and telling him. It's gonna be like this. He gets this gun, they get the rifle. The gun's too big to carry, and he's pretty sure it has. What is it now? 2 shots left? It's got a bullet left. That's my point. You're out of ammo, and you don't know what you'll encounter out there, Bakugo. You need to be careful. Just take the gun and take the spear. I'll ask Momo to write directions for you. And if you can, meet up with us. Okay? You're finally in charge. Is that what you wanted? No, Bakugo. I wanted to go home and see my mom. him gonna fall silent and staring back at Deku. And Deku, he does continue to talk. He wanted to be a hero, and he wanted to get an EUA. Only one of those things happened. And Bakugo needs to know, it's not personal. He's just not letting the group decide for themselves. He's forcing them to go along with his own plans, not thinking. He's acting on his emotions. Like Bakugo said, just don't think about it. And Bakugo stares up at Deku, him sweeping the gun from him and staring back at him, telling him, fucking don't use his own words against him. I'm gonna turn and walk away. And Deku, he's a lot more surprised by that. Bakugo's going to leave. Okay, so there's that. Everyone going to start packing a few things up. And Deku, after they do load a few things up into the truck, there is where Nejire does try to pull him aside, asking about going to a specialized location. And Deku, he does understand. It's important. And she'll leave a note there, like they'll leave a note here. And it is on the agenda for right now. Deku can make a quick stop. However, whenever this is brought up to everybody, there also is where someone else, let's just say Ochako, does try to ask about going back to her house, since the location isn't too far from her parents' house. And Deku, he does turn looking at everybody. Some of them going to nod, as Deku, he does start the truck. Right now the gate going to be opened up as Deku, he does drive it forwards. Everybody going to get into their vehicles as Bakugo, he does currently run through. As Todoroki, he does a turn, hang him a paper, and Bakugo does a swipe it. Him gonna turn and run down the street. Him bring out the spear and jabbing one zombie directly in the head. Before Bakugo, he has a turn and run off. Him bolting down the street. And everyone, they do see him go with a backpack of supplies. And that's probably not the last time we'll see Bakugo. Hopefully, at least. It's a bit worrisome. But Deku, him and the crew do begin a drive. Them trying to make their way around the city and do a few things. And there currently is over the radio. After Deku, he does stop the car. And people, they do watch Nejire jump out real quick and run over with a note she wrote. Deku gonna watch that as she does go to run into a room. And the building is... Is everything okay? Yeah, everything's fine. Thanks for making that stop. No, it's okay. Though I am getting a bit worried. What do you mean? The truck. It's got half a tank left. And I don't know if the gas stations are open. I'm sure they are. Well, yeah, you know what I meant. Yeah, I know. Now, two people in the back seat do both sit there. Tamaki and Momo. And it is quite interesting to watch, since Momo's pretty sure that these two like each other. And that is very, very cute. Now, Renato Chaco does get to bring her hand down onto the consoles. And Deku gives a turn to her. Her going to actually bring her hand out and telling Deku, things will be okay. And Deku's a turn looking at her hand. Him going to reach down and grab it. And going to still give it a squeeze. Now, Deku, he does feel a bit better about that. Right now one of the zombies going to bash against Deku's door as Deku's going to turn his head somewhat jumping. It's going to pound on the glass and go to somewhat moan out. And Deku does stare at that annoyed. And right now everyone, whenever Nejire does come running back over, hopping into the car, she does go to tell them, right, so let's go. Deku begin to speed off. Now, they do make their way out of the city. However, they do encounter a few things. Right out of the car, gonna pull to a stop, and seeing a military barricade. And Deku, he's a lot more alarmed. Him actually going to turn and jump out of the car. Him going to actually pull his gun and begin to run over. Him looking around. And it's... No. No, shit. I'm going to see a soldier. Right now them in a pile of blood and with some chunks missing from their body. And Deku, he does going to run over and bend down. Seeing the damage done. Gonna turn and look up towards one of their trucks. Which is... Oh my god. Now, this is where someone is going to walk over. And they see the damage. Momo's seeing that a Humvee has been... This looks like someone... It's almost like something landed on it. Half of it's smashed to the side and the truck's on the ground. Something hit this hard. And that does concern her. Since this is clearly a problem. And Deku, he has to look back down at the soldier. Him going to look down at their belt and sing another gun. Him going to bend down and bring his hand out. Him going to unbuckle the person's belt and grab the holster. Now, someone is going to turn. Currently going to see Deku pick this up as he does a stare at the pouches on the belt and sing a grenade on one of them. And it is kind of alarming. Him going to turn as everyone is to stare at him. Deku confused. Since this is, well, a weapon, it's gear. They need stuff. Him gonna turn, looking back down at the dead man, and gonna bend down. And wait a minute, a radio. Him gonna grab it. Him going to frantically grab at it a bit too much. The soldier actually has to turn his head and look at Deku. And Deku, he doesn't really gonna jump backwards and land on the ground. Him gonna do so as a soldier. He doesn't bring up his left hand. Him going to start waving it out at Deku. And Deku stares at his gloved fingers. Since he's still alive. No, he's just undead. Reno Chaco gonna walk over, bring up the spear and stabbing it out into the man's head. Her gonna pull it backwards and see him go limp. As she does, gonna stare at a few other things. And Deku, him and the group do try to see if they can get through this barricade. Though I mean, yeah, there's tons of dead people here. And that does worry them. And Izuku, he does stir on a few things. I mean, he doesn't want to take Bloody Vest and, well, all of their stuff, but leaving them be, putting them down and moving on is the most humane thing. And that does go through his mind. Him going to bend down and stab his knife into their head. Him pulling it back and going to actually look down at the weapon covered in blood. Since it looks in better condition than the last one he saw. The other one looked melted. I'm going to grab it and begin to pull. As Deku, he's going to finally pull it away as the person, their arm, comes off with it. And Deku, he does get to stare at that grossed out. Him, going to shake the weapon. The arm going to fall down and land on the ground, making a bit of a wet thud. And Deku, he stares at this better rifle. Huh. Okay. Right. They need to move. The radio Deku picked up from a dead soldier going to go off. And Deku, he does go to bring it up. Him going to lower the volume as I put it out to his ear. Yeah, no, everything's been going bad. Listen, not much is known. We still got to get verification. Verification? What do you mean, verification? Our orders are simple and clear. Jackson, you can't just. You're seriously gonna go through with this. I have to. You know what they'll do. You'll know what to say. We're at capacity. Everyone's. We don't have the resources to defend the dam. We can't keep power on for long. Internet's already down, and handhelds, the batteries may not last. We don't have enough resources to keep things properly charged and maintained for the population. You know what we have to do. They've made it quite clear. What am I supposed to say? I don't know. Just make sure to just use one bullet. Make it count. That's the orders? That's the most humane thing that you can say to me right now. You're asking me to kill civilians. Degu's taking the radio a lot more alarmed. And he does this one squeeze, pressing the button as a sound is to be made. Deku gonna let go of it as the two people are alarmed, since somebody else is on this channel. Hello? Identify yourself. Deku gonna remain quiet, and turning off the radio. And that, it does somewhat scare him. As everybody else, yeah, they heard that. And, oh boy. So, the military might be a problem. That currently running through a few people's minds. And Todoroki does just sit there. Him more concerned. Because if they didn't evacuate hospitals, then that means his mom might be back in the psych ward. I mean, the location in the hospital is secure. Locked gates, security passwords, you name it. I mean, the extreme cases of, well, you know, unwell people, they're put behind security measures. His mom was at one point deemed to be a risk to herself and others, but his sister said something before about mom in the hospital, but what was it? I mean, it's sort of. Todoroki bring his hand up and start running his fingers over his scar, thinking about what might have been said. He feels terrible now, because his mom might be trapped in a hospital, with no one there to help. The God, that ran through his mind, and everybody, they do try to make a way around the barricade, since clearly this isn't going to work. And Deku, he does just don't sit there driving. Right now, Momo trying to inform him about what to do. Them going to pull off and onto the highway. And Deku, he does going to see something quite alarming. Right now, everyone going to stare on and see. What is that? Now, Deku, he sees something that looks like a. No, wait. Is that a person? Him gonna stare at it. As it looks. Wait. That can't be. Deku gonna actually throw his foot down on the pedal. And the car is gonna drive forwards. Right now, everyone in the car is a lot more alarmed as Deku drives fast towards it. And it currently does a turn. Gonna get up and show that it clearly is bigger than it looks. Izuku can have the car drive forwards and smash into it. As the creature, it does bring its hands up. It's going to actually grab them onto the hood and try to stay up. And Deku hears it hit the brakes. It being sent flying down and smashing onto the road. And Deku hears it stare at it. Right now, some of the eyes on the creature beginning to get back up. and look towards the car, its mouth going to open up and show a massive row of teeth. And Deku and everyone stare at it. As right now it does go to open its mouth, and being a rush forwards, it trying to take a chunk out of the car. And Deku hears it drive forwards, smashing Doki into it again and running it over this time, as he is going to speed down the highway. And everyone in both cars, they continue to drive. And Izuku, he doesn't know what that thing was, but he's not going to stick around long enough to find out. That wasn't a regular infected. Jesus, what was that thing? Eventually, then I'm going to pull up to the Yaoyorozu estate. And Momo, she's quite happy to be home. However, when they get up close to the house, they see a few things that don't look so good. And with that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed, and have an amazing night. I'll catch you guys in the next part.